Hey everybody, John Rairdin here for Nintendo World Report TV. What you're about to see is an interview that I conducted at the end of last week with Takaya Imamura, whose new game Omega 6 is available now on the Nintendo Switch in addition to Steam. There is also a review for that on our channel. Imamura is of course something of a legend for Nintendo fans as the creator of some of their most iconic worlds and characters, including Star Fox, F-Zero, and The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. I also wanted to take a moment to shout out our translator James, who you'll of course hear from during the interview and catch a glimpse of now and then. But without further ado, here is my interview with Takaya Imamura. Enjoy. Well, first of all, Imamura-san, thank you very much for doing this.
Thank you very much.
So you left Nintendo a few years ago, and this is sort of your first major project since then. Was this something that had entered your brain while you were still at Nintendo? Is this something that you left and thought, okay, I want to make something new? How did this get started?
I initially thought I don't really want to do any game development for a while. I want to leave that behind for a little while. And so I think that's probably why I ended up drawing the manga. But then I ended up getting drawn back into game development.
Yeah, so obviously started as the manga, didn't have an intention to make it a game. How did that happen? How did you go from I have this manga to I am adapting this manga into a video game?
Actually, that was the producer of the game. He suggested, "Hey, are you interested in making an adventure game? We've got this engine, the system's already there." So he invited me into the project, so to speak, and thinking about what we could do with this adventure style game system. I thought, well, I guess we could, use the world I built in the manga and work off that, build on that.
So when they initially approached you, then was it to do Omega 6, or was it just, do you want to make an adventure game?
じゃあ最初はオメガ6をゲーム化しようっていう話じゃなくて、アドベンチャーゲーム。そうですね。はい。Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So I imagine when you were with Nintendo, you're probably used to working with pretty big teams. Whereas here, I imagine this is a much smaller team, and you probably have a fair amount of freedom. You're in charge now. Is that intimidating, exciting? Are you enjoying that element of independence as compared to when you were with a larger company?
Well, actually, for quite a long time, several years at least, I'd had this desire to work in kind of on an indie style project. And the reason being is that up until probably around the time of the Nintendo 64 projects, most of those projects were we were developing with a small number of people. And the good thing about that was that you knew who was in the team, you knew what everybody was doing. You could keep an eye on, basically the whole project. So I wanted to go back to those roots, as it were.
So to some degree, then, did this feel nostalgic? Like you were obviously it's got this 16-bit style. Did it sort of feel like you were going back to making like a Super Nintendo game?
そうですね。まあ。It did, yeah. I mean, I guess thinking back, and it might be partly because I was younger back then as well, but I think the time when I enjoyed games, playing games the most was probably the Super Nintendo, NES, those days.
Obviously, this is, I believe it's coming out where I am in the United States today while we're recording this, with the game out in multiple regions. I know the manga is coming out in English later on this year. Is Omega 6 something that you would like to continue developing within that world of? Are you looking to go on to different things from here? Kind of what's next in your mind for Omega 6 and I guess for you?
そうですね。As you say, it's out today. So if it sells well and I get asked to do a sequel, I will be more than happy. And I've been thinking of maybe putting in a low polygon shooting stage into the game as well. So there's that. And I'm also I'm drawing the next issue, the next story in the manga series as well. So.
Yeah, I was going to ask, obviously this, as you said, this was an adventure game to start. That was the pitch. Are there other genres that you're interested in, either with Omega 6 or with something else, revisiting in an independent sense?
I've actually been thinking about trying my hand at making a shooting game, a side-scrolling, horizontally scrolling shooting game at the university. So not with the students. There's a group of the professors at the university. A lot of them come from a game development background, so they've got experience, and we've been kind of talking about doing that kind of thing.
Obviously, you're teaching at this university. That must be, I guess, interesting to work with. I assume, from my perspective, just as a fan, like Nintendo is this very sort of closed off, walled garden company. And I imagine it must be interesting for you to leave Nintendo and be working with a huge new variety of people and influences. Has that inspired new ideas in you?
そうですね。まあ、インスピレーションというか、
I wouldn't call it inspiration so much as in my current situation, I don't need to think when I'm creating something, when I'm making something. I don't need to think about whether it's going to sell or not. I just need to think about whether I want to make it or not. Whether it's a manga, whether it's a game, it's really all about whether I want to do it or not.
Now, you said, for the manga, obviously, like, that's totally your personal project. So if it sells, great. If not, great. It's your thing. You're doing it for fun. Once you did enter into working on the game, do you feel some added pressure? Since there are other people working on it. Like, do you feel some added pressure to have that work, to have that deliver, and maybe some pressure that you didn't feel when you were at Nintendo and there was somebody above you who could, if it doesn't work, it's that guy's fault. Whereas now, like, it's more directly on a smaller team.
あまりなかったです。
Not really.
I'm going to diverge slightly from Omega 6, ask you some broader questions. And I'm going to start with the broadest one of all, because a few days ago, a couple weeks ago, I guess, saw you post on Blue Sky, which it's been awesome seeing all of your art on like Twitter and Blue Sky. You posted a picture of Luke Skywalker fighting Darth Vader. And of course, the real question that I'm sure everyone is dying to ask a longtime Nintendo artist, what's your favorite Star Wars movie?
Yeah, of course. Which Empire Strikes Back.
Empire. That's the correct answer. Correct.
Correct.
Okay, and then back into the world of video games. I'm from my background, might be able to tell, big Star Fox fan and collector.
Thank you.
Which of those games, of all of them, is your personal favorite?
Yeah,
that would be the Nintendo 64 version. I think that was the one where I contributed the most out of all of the other games in the series.
And by contributed the most, you mean like gameplay, art? What do you feel that you added extra to on that one?
もちろんストーリーだったり、まあステージのコンセプト。
Well, I worked on the story. There's concepts for the individual stages, some of the basic gameplay systems, that kind of thing. Obviously, I worked in tandem with the program, doing it myself. I basically they let me get away with a lot.
That's about all I've got. Yeah, I'll kind of wrap it up there. But just as a closing note, just a personal thank you for all of the art and the story that you've contributed to video games. It has been inspiring and just fun to experience as a fan.
ありがとうございます。はい。
I think that's all I've got, so I can let you go a couple minutes early.
Thank you, John.
Thank you very much.
多分次はあると思いますので。
ありがとう。 ありがと
お疲れ様でした。
う。お疲れ様でした。Please subscribe to Nintendo World Report.
Yay!
Nice.
Perfect. Thank you. This video was made possible by our generous supporters on Patreon. Did you know that Nintendo World Report is funded directly by fans like you? When you support Nintendo World Report on Patreon, you get immediate access to multiple exclusive podcasts every month, exclusive Discord channels, an early look at select content, and more, all for as little as $1 a month. Check out patreon.com/NWR for all the details.